Clark County Today is presented by Connell Real Estate. Hire an agent, get a team. Learn more by visiting connellrealestate.com.
A very happy Friday to you, Clark County. Jacob Graneman here. Let's dive into our top stories for today. Clark County Public Health says an additional 27 people have tested positive for COVID-19 since yesterday, bringing our overall number to 1,632. No new deaths have been reported since Tuesday. Hospitalization rates have also dipped a bit this week, with 23 people in Clark County hospitals with a confirmed case and 3 others awaiting tests. Just over 4% of hospital beds are taken up by someone with either a confirmed or suspected infection. As of today, 71% of the county's 669 licensed hospital beds are occupied. Governor Jay Inslee announced Thursday he was rolling back to previous restrictions outlined in his 4-phased reopening plan. Inslee stated that as a result of a recent resurgence of COVID-19 cases in the state, he was implementing new restrictions and an expansion of the state's face mask mandate. Starting Saturday, face masks will be required in common areas such as elevators and shared spaces in apartment complexes, as well as nursing homes. Indoor dining in restaurants will be limited to members of the same household. Mixed groups will have the option to eat outside. Alcohol sales must end at 10 p.m. and bars will have to close indoor services and can only serve people outside. Fitness centers and gyms in Phase 2 counties, such as Clark County, will be limited to 5 people. The increased restrictions for restaurants, bars, and gyms and family entertainment centers will go into effect next Thursday. There will also be changes for weddings, funerals, and other services. Receptions are no longer allowed, and ceremonies are only permitted with 20% occupancy or 30 people, whichever is less. And people must maintain 6 feet of physical distancing and wear face masks. The changes for weddings and funerals takes effect on August 6th. Governor Jay Inslee also announced on Thursday that he's extending his eviction moratorium until October 15th. Washington's Office of Financial Management says it will free up an additional $247 million to local governments as part of the CARES Act funding package, but Clark County officials say that's still less than they should be getting. Clark County received nearly $27 million through the Coronavirus Relief Fund, but then accused the state of withholding 70% of the federal money intended for smaller local governments. In a letter this week, OFM Director David Schumacher blamed Congress and the White House for a lack of clarity, while admitting the state had held back over $240 million in case of an emergency. Still, Clark County and other local governments say the state is ignoring guidance from the Department of Treasury in an attempt to hold on to more of that money. They argue that the state should be distributing nearly $1 billion to local governments, far from the $290 million the state initially distributed or the $537 million that will ultimately be paid out. For both sides of the story and a reaction from local officials, head over to clarkcountytoday.com. An attorney representing Kelly Carroll, a battleground woman facing charges of operating her pet grooming business in violation of the governor's Stay Home, Stay Healthy order, has filed to have the charges dismissed. In his argument filed last Tuesday in Clark County District Court, Angus Lee argues that Carroll's business should have been deemed essential since the governor's order excluded activities essential for the health and safety of pets. Lee also argues that a litany of amendments to the governor's order would have made it nearly impossible for Carroll to know for sure if she was in violation of the law, and that officers should have first notified her about the rules she was allegedly violating before charges were filed. The city has charged Carroll with operating her business in violation of an emergency order. Lee's motion to dismiss is scheduled for a hearing before a district court judge on August 11th. When the fall semester opens at Washington State University this fall, both undergraduate and graduate courses will be at a distance. The announcement came yesterday, first by WSU President Kirk Schultz and later affirmed by WSU Vancouver Chancellor Mel Netzhammer, who said the university will not hold face-to-face classes or labs on campus. Courses will be online with very few exceptions, Netzhammer said. Attempts were made to plan for at least some face-to-face instruction this fall, but he said those plans were thwarted by a recent resurgence of COVID-19 cases in the state. Netzhammer asked faculty and staff who can work effectively from home to continue to do so. He said students would soon be receiving an email that will answer questions about registration, tuition, and how to access resources. Faculty members will also receive an email answering questions about research, training, and graduate education. Netzhammer said he will host a campus conversation from 10 to 11 a.m. on Monday, and participants can ask questions in advance when they register online, or they may use a Q&A feature during the event. Every year, the Alzheimer's Association hosts an international conference on the most noteworthy developments in the search for a cure. This year, it's going virtual, and it's 100% free for everyone, anywhere, even Clark County. The Alzheimer's Association chapter of Oregon and Southwest Washington has been an integral part of the cure research and robust fundraising. This year, they are encouraging everyone to register for the conference. Due to COVID-19, the virtual format will be used to stream talks and from dementia scientists, association leaders, and research from around the world. Alzheimer's research from OHSU in Portland will also play a part in the presentations. The main event will last all of next week from July 27th through the 31st. In addition to the global event, the annual Walk to End Alzheimer's is still happening across the region next month, though with some pandemic-related adjustments. The Vancouver Walk is scheduled for August 29th, and in order to keep walking teams safe, the association is requiring teams to be composed of families or small groups of friends, and for participants to walk their own route. To register for either event, check out the full story at clarkcountytoday.com. To play high school sports, you need athletes, coaches, and administrators to figure out the schedule. Plus, you need officials. Paul Valencia reached out to local officials to get their reaction on the WIAA's new sports schedule dealing with the pandemic.
Good evening. You know, in all this talk about the planning of a new sports schedule with the WIAA, we always talk about the athletes and the coaches and all the administrators trying to figure out the schedules. We sometimes forget about the officials. Well, in the WIAA's press conference the other night, the officials came up.
His membership was at 30%, possibly up to 30% of the officials would not feel comfortable officiating a game right now under the current situation. So we know we're not flush with officials as it is, and you cut 30% out of the pool. That's problematic.
Fortunately, in Southwest Washington, this does not seem to be a problem. I talked to Bruce Hermanson. He's the president of the Evergreen Football Officials Association. He said his membership has not expressed concern about being on the field during the pandemic. I also reached out to Neil Anderson, president of the Evergreen Basketball Officials Association. Basketball will be delayed as well this year. He said it's just too early to tell. So, there's no reason to be concerned about his membership not being on board to officiate basketball.
Well, there's your speedy check of the stories we're following for you at clarkcountytoday.com. Be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to be part of the conversation and learn when stories are posted. You can also send us news ideas to our email, news@clarkcountytoday.com. For all of us, I'm Jacob Graneman. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you again next week.